Hi, everyone. I'm Amy Best, and I work with Elena. I'm part of her amazing team. And I just want to welcome you to the Lead with Love Summit. So excited to have you here. And Elena and I thought we would flip the tables today, and I would do an interview with her. And we're going to talk all things love. But first, I wanted to introduce her and share her bio with you. So, in case you're new here, Elena is an award-winning serial entrepreneur and successful TEDx speaker with over 3 million views on YouTube. In her TEDx talk, she explains why we need to change the prevalent cultural narrative around highly sensitive people. As a highly sensitive person, or HSP, and acclaimed intuitive business coach, since 2014, she blends inner mindset and soul work with outer authentic marketing and sales strategies to help her clients connect to deep purpose, gentle power, and abundance. Her big mission is to create a love revolution led by caring souls to affect global change and raise human consciousness to the next level. Elena is also the CEO of Red Dot Stage, a TEDx speaker coaching company that specializes in helping visionaries land, craft, and deliver viral TED Talks. Elena previously founded and sold a successful international luxury beauty brand, Elixir of Switzerland. On a personal note, Elena is trilingual, English, German, and French. She has graduated from the Sorbonne University College London and the London School of Economics. Elena is also a Reiki master and lifelong spiritual seeker. When she is not helping others pursue their dreams, she is passionate about studying consciousness and psychology, living an organic lifestyle, and enjoying time with her beloved family and friends. So thank you so much, Elena, for being here with us for this interview.
Thank you so much, Amy. It's fun to turn the tables with you. So a warm welcome to everyone, of course, to the Lead with Love Summit. And I'm excited to share in this interview some perspectives about how we can infuse our lives and businesses with love consciousness. So thank you, Amy, for being my interviewer today.
Of course, of course. This is going to be wonderful. And if you're ready, we can jump right into question one.
We can sure jump right in. I'm ready for you.
All right. So first, if you would share with us, well, congrats on the 3 million views on the TED Talk on the gentle power of highly sensitive people. It's one of my favorites. I share that very widely. Can you share what that accomplishment means to you?
Yeah, that to me is still a kind of a pinch me moment, because I never thought that my talk would go viral in the way it did. When I had the idea to do my TEDx talk, it was really just from a very personal motivation that I thought, I want to change how the world views sensitive people. I want to change the perspective that sensitive people are fundamentally weak or flawed. And I always thought, I know that's not true. And I thought maybe I can share my vision of what highly sensitive people are truly like, and maybe shift that perspective to a more positive one. And I would have been very happy if a few thousand people would have seen that already. I never thought that I'd take the stage and have this big success. And the amazing thing is, many people ask me, well, were you already a public speaker when you did that? And the truth is, my claim to fame was speaking at my brother's wedding. So this was the only kind of public talk I did. This was my first public outing. And what I learned from that, and I think that's something that we all can maybe take from this, is that it was just, for me, my deep conviction to share my soul message, and to have that moment of courage to do something that seems way bigger than us, and that seems maybe even scary. Like, I'm definitely not a natural speaker on stage. This is not my habitat. I'm quite an introverted person. But to know that if something is in our souls and we have that deep inner conviction that we have to share something, or that we feel we can make the world a better place in some unique way that only we know how to do, then that's, you know, that moment where we decide to go with our souls and to just do it, and to really embrace that brief moment of courage and bravery to do something that puts us out there. So anybody's listening here who already feels, hey, they have a message that can change lives, go out there, whether it's a TED stage, whether it's getting up in a school auditorium and sharing your message with the kids, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter at all where you do it. It just matters that you do it. Or if you have a book inside of you, or whatever it is, get your heart and soul message out there, because that's how we infuse the world with love, is if we share what we truly believe in.
Oh, yes, you certainly did that. And we're all so grateful you shared that light with us in that talk. Wow, from a wedding to the TEDx stage.
An unusual path.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. The next question I have for you is, why did you create the Lead with Love Summit? And how does that tie in with what's happening in the world right now?
So I created the Lead with Love Summit for two reasons. The first reason was I had just hit my 3 million views just a few weeks ago, and I was looking for a way to celebrate that occasion with everybody who supported my talk and who supported me since my talk went live, everybody who shared, everybody who made this possible, because it wasn't me who made that possible, it was everybody who felt compelled to share that with others that they love. So I thought, I want to give something back to my community. And I thought I could do a summit that is maybe more specifically themed around sensitivity, or I could do a topic that to me is even bigger than sensitivity, which is actually love consciousness. And I thought, what the world needs now is truly love, sweet love, like that song says. And if anything, I've seen that, you know, with the various shock waves that have moved to the world on so many levels, that we now have an opportunity to recreate our reality. So many things and many structures are crumbling all over: political, social, business structures, personal lives. There are many crumblings all over. And a crumbling also means a rebuilding somewhere at some point. And how can we rebuild the world? I believe we can do this with a lens of love. And this is a huge opportunity, because it's almost something that's unimaginable that happened, where nobody could have imagined that the world would come to a halt. And it did come to a halt. And while there are many very severe and tragic consequences of this, there are also big opportunities to re-envision a better world, a fairer world, a more compassionate world that can take the place of an old toxic world that is now fading. And so my excitement is actually there to see maybe things are not just falling apart, maybe they're falling into place. And we have so many challenges as a collective, from environmental challenges, political challenges, the future of humanity as a whole. Where are we going? Where are we evolving to? And these problems, we've been grappling with them for hundreds and hundreds of years in different variations. And now we have an opportunity to really address these problems from a different level of consciousness that this massive crisis afforded us. And Einstein already said you cannot solve a problem from the same level of consciousness that created it. And now many people during that time of pulling back inwards, literally being stuck in their homes, they also went inside into their inner home, into their soul home, and figured out maybe they have new priorities, maybe they have new desires, maybe they have a new vision for their lives, their homes, their communities, their jobs, their businesses, whatever the case may be. And so with this awakening energy pulsing through everybody, we now are all like mosaic pieces that come together that can create a whole new picture. We can create a whole new vision that we all can come aboard with. And I thought a summit that addresses specifically how we can step into love consciousness, how we can activate love in our hearts and in our lives to reimagine where we're going as a collective would be something that would really excite me and I know could be of service to many people. So that's why I called to life the Lead with Love Summit and invited amazing guest speakers that I all know and care about deeply. These are people I know who do wonderful work in the world, ranging from really like dog training, energy healing, tapping, to also more traditional like 7-figure business owners. So we have a whole tapestry of experts from very different walks of life and very different mindsets, yet they're all leading with love and they're all changing the world in their corner of the world. And I love that we can talk about all of these different perspectives, because to me, there is no one road that leads you to the right answer, and there's no one road that leads to love. There's so many roads, and I wanted to show that people of so many different walks of life and backgrounds will all take their own individual road to get to love. And this is what the summit is about, to inspire you, our summit viewer and participant, to forge your path to leading with love in your life and business.
That is such a beautiful mission. And with that said, speaking of love consciousness and raising the level of consciousness, I wanted to ask, what does the term love consciousness mean to you?
So for me, generally, consciousness for me is the awareness of the multidimensionality of our being, and also the understanding that everything is energy and everything is connected to and through energy. And when I say that, we can lead with love consciousness, to me, love consciousness is almost like a lens we choose to see life through. And there are many lenses we can see life through, depending on our own personal filters. But love is, I think, the supreme filter. Because if you go through life and filter any experience, anything that crosses your path, and you choose to see it through the eyes of love, because that's really love consciousness, is seeing through the eyes of love, you have quite a transformational experience. And for me, things like trust, intuition, faith, surrender, joy, kindness, also being in touch with your heart and feeling the truth that emerges from your heart. For me, those things create that lens, and you can filter anything through that lens, even difficult things, maybe especially difficult things. And if you do that, you basically ask, what would love do in this moment? At every given moment in time, you can ask, what would love do? And if you ask that, you take yourself out of your ego mind and you open yourself up to your higher mind, asking, how would love see this situation? How would love respond? What would love have me do? And then you will see that there are avenues you might not have explored if you had maybe stayed in a more reactive, ego-based state. And by the way, I'm not trying to make an ego-based response to anything wrong, because I think we're human beings having an experience here in this reality, and that can sometimes be very normal as a first instinct to react to something especially challenging with anger or fear or anxiety. But to know that these responses, we can accept them, and also we can choose to transcend them. And maybe we need some time to be able to transcend them, but we can, if we choose to look for that love lens and look at the possibilities that looking through the lens of love could afford us.
Wonderful. So you listed some ways that we can get in touch with love consciousness. Do you have any tips, any favorite tips to access love consciousness?
Yes, I do. I think the gateway to living from love consciousness is through self-love. Now, when I'm on stage and I talk about love consciousness, when I ask For example, who's the person you love the most? Many people will say my kids, my husband, my wife, my best friend, whoever. And almost nobody will say myself. And I think that should change. And I know it's a radical idea, but I think the radical idea should be that we should be the loves of our life, because we are the ones that will stay with us until the end of our time here on this planet. And it's a relationship that's often undernourished. So many people are amazing nourishers of relationships, especially sensitive people. They will nourish their community, their family, everybody before themselves. And to me, that is actually not living from love consciousness, because if everybody gets your love except for you, then you're going to end up depleted, sad, empty, and this is not the way. We have to fill our cup first before we pour it into others. And the way we do that is to really make self-love a priority. Now, I know for myself, that journey into self-love is not something that you can just not turn a light switch on and here you are loving yourself. It's really something that means we have to break down a lot of conditioning that we received from our environment, maybe our upbringing. And so maybe you're watching this and you think, well, I love the idea of self-love, but how do I do this? So for me, a great way to start stepping into self-love is to ask yourself at any given moment during the day, what would somebody do right this moment or right in this situation who really loved themselves? What would they do? So maybe you're working like crazy, you have a project to finish and you feel you're tired. So if you ask yourself, what would somebody do who really loves themselves? Well, they might have a 20-minute nap. They might make a tea. They may call a best friend. They might drink a glass of water. And maybe somebody who doesn't love themselves would just carry on and say, I got to push through. I don't have time for myself. I cannot take a break now. But there's always a loving self-response available in almost anything. And the more you attune yourself, the better it will work for you. And so this question, what would somebody do who really loves themselves? It's like the training wheels. At some point, you don't have to ask that anymore. You can just ask yourself, what do I want to do right now? What feels good to me? What feels loving to me? But if that's still a difficult way to think, because maybe you're not in tune enough with yourself to hear your inner voice, then exteriorizing that and asking yourself, what would somebody do who really loves themselves, can give you a better response, especially to begin with. So that to me is like the beginning piece of it all. And then there are, of course, practices that can help and that can be part of your overall self-love practice. So things like really tuning into your heart and accessing your heart vibration. That can be by breathing into your heart, doing heart activation meditations, perhaps, really trying to acknowledge and feel the intelligence of your heart, and to also include your heart in your decision-making process. So if you have to decide something and you don't know, do I want to do this? Do I not want to do this? Is this a yes? Is this a no? Like, tune into your heart. How does your heart feel? Does it pull together? Does it feel constricted? Does it feel cold? Maybe that's a no. Does it tingle with excitement? Does it flower open? That's maybe your yes. So try to engage a relationship with your heart. Then I also like things like EFT tapping, where we have a wonderful interview with Brad Yates. So EFT tapping is emotional freedom technique. It's a way of using the body and tapping out any energies that are actually not love to bring you back into alignment with yourself. And so Brad Yates, watch out for his interview. He will even do a guided live tapping round with us. And of course, also any form of energy healing that resonates with you, or spiritual connection. To me, that's a great way to connect to your higher self, to your intuition, to who you really are beyond just your human experience. And what I also find more like from a daily perspective is to see if you can really bring 3 key energies into your life: the energy of gratitude, the energy of forgiveness, and the energy of contribution. So with gratitude, it's so easy to do and so easy to forget. So I've made a practice now every night when I go to bed. I try and think of the things that happened during the day that were beautiful. So I know tonight I'll be thinking of you, Amy, and being grateful for our interview together. And it can be anything. And even if you had a bad day, force your brain to look for the one good thing that happened, whether that's that your coffee turned out perfect in the morning, or you had a lovely phone call with a long lost friend. It doesn't matter, like focus on the few things. If there were only few that did go well, and if there were many things that went well, embrace them all. The second thing is the energy of forgiveness. So I think forgiveness from a vibrational perspective is very high because it releases you from heaviness. And you forgive for your sake, not for the other person's sake. So we all hold grudges in various ways to various situations. And the more we can inch our way towards releasing toxic bonds or releasing pain, the more free we will be to embrace our love and embrace our power. And there are many different rituals for that, but find one that works for you and that will help you really go on a forgiveness journey. And the last thing that I think should be on everybody's daily to-do list is an act of contribution. So it can be helping a sweet little old lady across the street. It can be letting somebody cut in line on the supermarket before you. It can be writing a loving message to somebody you haven't spoken to in a while. Anything. And what really happens when you do that is you think you're doing that for the other person, but really you're doing that for you because it makes you so happy to make somebody else happy. It just is like a win-win situation for everybody involved. So be selfish and do something for someone else, and you'll see everybody gets to benefit from that.
These are fantastic tips, and I can just feel how needed this guidance is right now. So thank you so much for sharing these tips. And I think the next question is going to shift a little more to the business aspect of leading with love. So I'd like to ask, why is leading with love so important for business and especially for entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so this is something that is dear to my heart. So I've been an entrepreneur now almost for 2 decades. That makes me feel very old to say that, but here we go. But entrepreneurship is something that I live and breathe, and I am more familiar with entrepreneurship than I am about more corporate life. So I prefer to speak about that because I know that very well. And I've coached hundreds and hundreds of business owners over the years. So it's something I know a lot about. And what I feel happening in the business community, in the entrepreneur community, is that there is a very pronounced hustle culture. And this hustle culture has been stylized as the way to do business. Like you get up at 5 a.m. and then you hustle your way through, you work until midnight, and then you do 3 launches stacked on top of each other, and it's go, go, go all the time. And to me, what really is going on there is that this is an energy that's actually built on fear. It's the fear of not making it. It's the fear of not being good enough. It's the fear of being judged. It's the fear of not making enough money. It's the fear of maybe losing your business. So there are legitimate reasons why we resort to hustle, because it feels like the right thing to do, the safe thing to do is to hustle our way to success. And then we can live the life we want. And then we can tend to our own needs and our self-care and our self-love. And really what I think the whole entrepreneur community would benefit from is a shift from fear to love, and from the not enoughness into the enoughness. Because when we operate from such a skewed lens, then really we cannot get the results we're looking for. So what I'm advocating is that we move from the glorification of the human doing to going back to the human being, and to realize you are a human being. You are not a human doing. And to allow your human experience, to not try to be a machine, to not push yourself beyond your limits, because that just leads to burnout and breakdown of all kinds. And that is not the way I think love would invite us to do business. And the way I think love would invite us to do business is to move from our head into our heart and use a different power center. And I think to do that, there are 4 main shifts that allow us to really change gear from this high performance, ego fear-based energy to a more heart-based, trusting energy. And I have, as I said, been a business owner for almost 20 years. And this shift has actually empowered me personally and made my businesses more impactful and more profitable. So it's not like if you move into your heart, you lose your edge, or you're no longer competitive, or you don't make money. I would actually say you can increase your competitiveness in the sense that you will stand out in the marketplace. You can increase your community, your customer flow, all of these things by changing that. And the 4 main ways to do that is to, 1, value your intuition over your brain intelligence. Now, for heart-centric people, that's quite easy to do. But if you are used to being in your head all the time and figuring out all of your problems from your head, and this is a massive shift, to really tune into your intuition. What are you knowing beyond your rational mind? What can you feel? What can you sense? And sharpen that intuition tool. And over the course of our 5 days together, I will speak a bit more about how we can tune into our intuition and our heart. The second thing is that we get out of the push energy, where we are always trying to push out marketing, push out launches, push out product services, and actually go more into the energy of pulling it in through your vibration, through what you stand for, through your loving presence. Because if you stand in your truth and you stand in your heart, you're quite exceptional in the marketplace, and people will flock to that authenticity. They will flock to how you speak. They will flock to your energy. And so you don't need to hustle so hard or push so much, because things will actually be pulled to you. So that is a real big thing. The third thing is to allow flow over control. So control is a great tool of the hustle culture, and it's also a great tool of fear. So we feel if we control everything, then we'll be okay, and that our spreadsheets can protect us from the future. But your spreadsheets can't protect you. Your higher self can, your intuitive knowing can, but not a spreadsheet. And this always reminds me, takes me back to quite a tragic time when we had the big tsunami, and we saw that so many humans were impacted by that, but almost no animals. So why is that? The animals actually all fled to the top of the mountains. Why? Because they sensed something. They didn't just say, oh, I looked on my app today, the weather looks good, I can be at the beach, fantastic. They don't rationalize it like we do. They tuned into something that was available to them. And a few human beings did that too. They've had a funny feeling. They just didn't feel right that day. They couldn't explain it, but they moved away. They moved up into the mountains or into a safer spot. And so we can do that. The proverbial business tsunamis of our life, Corona is a tsunami of some kind. Like, how can we activate our intuitive knowing and take care of ourselves, take care of our future by actually going to a different source of knowing than the one we traditionally perceive as the right one, which is the one that comes from our brain. So this, I think, is a really important thing. And the last thing is that we, instead of always trying to work and act in our business, like in terms of like checking off the to-do list, how can we work more on our being than on our doing? So what can we do to align ourselves? And that's where some of the tips that I mentioned earlier. How can you align your energy? Be it a walk in nature, be connecting to your heartbeat, an energy session, being meditation, deep breathing, yoga, whatever it is. How can you, as you work on you, the person and the business owner, versus you and your spreadsheet or you and your to-do list, how can you shift into that? And that's by prioritizing your alignment within yourself over your acting in the outside world. So I think if we keep these key shifts in mind, then we can start operating from love consciousness in our lives and in our businesses.
Wonderful. So speaking of going within and embracing the authenticity and aligning within, I was wondering, how do you express your gifts in business?
Well, that's an interesting question, because I think we all have the blessing and the joy to have many different gifts, especially if we take the time to get to know our gifts and to explore them, and to not just settle with what we think we know are our gifts, because many of our gifts can sometimes be hidden, and they come out in non-business related ways. They can come out through our hobbies, they can come out through our interaction with other people. So it's really, first of all, tuning into what your gifts are, and maybe also letting other people mirror to you what your gifts are, and then enhancing those, taking care of those, exploring those. And for me, what I noticed since I'm a little girl is I'm highly intuitive to the point of being claircognizant. So what that means is that I have knowledge airdropped, sometimes it feels like that, airdropped into my mind, and it's not something that I generated. So it's something I receive versus something I generate. And this, especially when I was younger, was highly confusing to me, because I didn't know what that meant, to know things that I actually didn't take active steps to learn or to experience. And so over the years, I got to trusting that knowing, because it was always spectacularly right, not only for myself, but also for other people who asked me for my advice or wanted a perspective. I could just always tune into that, and suddenly I knew things that I didn't really have a way of knowing, yet I did know them, and they were spot on. So in the beginning of my business life, I kind of had that more in the background as something I used for me and my decision making, maybe, and just allowed like that knowing to bring me great branding names for my products, or give me a vision of where I wanted to launch, like my skincare brand. I had this vision. I just felt it. I got the knowingness that I would launch it in Harrods. I had no way of, doing that. I was a small Swiss luxury brand, no connections there, no nothing. And I just knew it, and it happened that way. So it's about just tuning in, and I did that more in the background. And then once I sold that business and I moved into supporting my fellow sensitive and gentle entrepreneurs on their business journeys, I realized that this is something I should actually put front and center of my business coaching. So instead of just leveraging my business background and my strategic know-how and marketing and sales know-how, to also really bring my intuitive side into this, and to put that in service of my clients. And so that really transformed how I offered business coaching, and it also differentiated me from a lot of other business coaches who were maybe more focused on the strategic side of things. I added in this almost sparkly extra dimension. And another thing I did is I started reading like oracle cards and things like that for fun. At some point I was like, well, This is a gift I clearly have as well. I know how to pull energy out of cards. I get messages from them that, you know, I did it for friends, I did it for myself, that were again so on point, and they almost doubled my knowing. They were like an extra booster. And so I thought, well, how about I bring my ability to read the energy in cards and also put that in this very traditional role of a business coach. And in the beginning, I was a bit scared to do that because I thought maybe people will think I'm a Fruit Loop. You know, maybe they will think this is strange or makes me less serious or less trustworthy. And then I realized, no, it doesn't. It actually is just me doing what I'm born to do and doing it differently. And my clients are clients that love this. And I'm not for everyone. And I think this is a gift to learn also, that you don't have to please everybody and you don't have to be everybody's cup of tea. But my clients, caring entrepreneurs, people who really want to make a difference in the world, who are heart-based or soul-driven entrepreneurs, they get me. Like, we speak the same language. And they love this. They love that I can feel them, that I can bring my sensitivity to the table, that I can sense their sensitivity, and together create a new marketplace almost for sensitive entrepreneurs who do different type of, you know, normal business. Like, a sensitive person's business is different than a non-sensitive person's business in how they operate, what they do, how they do it. And so it's something that's very dear to me. So that's how I bring those gifts into it. And the other gift I have, which I leverage more in my second business, because as you rightly said, I run two businesses. I also run a TEDx speaker coaching business. There it's about really intuiting my clients' message for the world, their mission. So I have, again, using my claircognizance skills, the ability to tap into somebody's big mission and big message, even sometimes before they know it. I can mirror it back to them, what they are here to share on a world stage. So as you can see, can have different uses, but these are the ways I do that in my two businesses.
I love it. That's just wonderful. Amazing gifts, and so many HSPs, entrepreneurs, just so many people have benefited from those gifts. Which brings me to my next question, which is, what kind of work do you do that helps others step into love?
Well, I think in both of my businesses, in my intuitive business coaching business, as well as in my TEDx speaker coaching business, my ultimate goal is to help my clients align with their true source of love inside of them, and to remind them of why they're here, what they're doing, what they're about, and then giving them the tools to go out in a big way. Because I think as a collective, we've run out of time to play it safe, and we've run out of time to hide. So it's really now or never to get out of the cave and into the light. And in a way, what I love doing for my clients, whether it's getting them into the spotlight on the TEDx stage or out into the marketplace, is I want to empower my clients to embrace their highest light and their love, and to shine that in a way that only they can, with only their kind of product, service, or message, and really go out there now. Because the world needs people doing what they love and doing it from a heart-based perspective, because that will really change the fabric of society. The more people we have that really embrace their truth and their beingness, the more we all benefit. So I see myself, if you like, as a love cheerleader, and I just use it in a business and in a TEDx context. But really, my goal is to empower each and every person I touch, whether it's through my one-on-one coaching, group coaching, online courses, whatever the case may be, to help them step into that love consciousness, and then radiate that out.
Wonderful. And we're so excited to explore that further in the summit. Well, that's an amazing start. It gives us a lot to think about. So I can't believe we're on our last question. I don't want this to end, but I will go ahead and so finally, what is your mission and how does it tie in with your vision of love for humanity?
Yeah, I already touched a bit on that, but what I said just now about each of us activating our truth, which is that in our beingness we are all love. My hope is that we can create a love revolution. And what I mean by that is that each person comes home to their own heart. And each person awakens to their truth, which is beyond fear, which is beyond hate, which is beyond separation, which is beyond grief. It is the truth of our soul that is immaterial. And the more we align with that, recognize that, embrace that, the more we radiate that love out and we touch the people that we get into contact with. And so for me, my mission and my hope for humanity is that we have that awakening, that real deep soul awakening, and that as a humanity we move from predominantly head-based world to a heart-based one, where people make decisions through the lens of love and help us create a different reality. And we can do that in our private lives, we can do that in our businesses. And yes, of course, part of the summit is about entrepreneurship, but even if you're not an entrepreneur and you're listening here, it really doesn't matter, because these principles apply to anyone. These are principles that we choose to live and work by. And of course, you can be leading a love revolution in your organization as much as you can in your entrepreneurial life. And so that's why also in our summit, I do have some corporate perspectives as well, even though it's predominantly entrepreneur focused, especially towards the end of this week where we have a whole day dedicated to running a business. But I would encourage even those of you that are in the corporate world to tune into that, because you never know, the world is changing so fast. Maybe one day you will turn the tables and move from corporate into entrepreneurial life. And there are lots of tools and wisdom that my speakers share there that can maybe benefit you. And on top of that, I want everybody here to join me. Daily, I'm going to do daily live love consciousness trainings that will help you deepen a lot of these concepts I just spoke about briefly today. And on Friday, I'm hosting a big, again, of course, free workshop on how you can create your vision of love for your business. So it's 2 hours together. It's really rolling up our sleeves and diving into how love could lead our businesses. And I will show you how to do that. So be sure you mark your calendars for Friday. And I'm super excited to share every single day 3 wonderful guest interviews on different topics. So you will see in the Facebook group, we have all the topics pinned, and also in the emails I sent out, you will see all of the good stuff our speakers have to share with you. So be sure you tune into those interviews. They're going to be available for 24 hours every day. So 3 are released and they'll be available to you for 24 hours before the next batch comes out. And of course, you can tune in to me every day. That's at 6 p.m. Central European Time, or 12 p.m. Eastern, or 9 a.m. Pacific. You can tune into a live training with me, be that on Zoom or in the Facebook group directly, where of course I invite you to hop on in and join the community and share your thoughts and vision with everybody else. So I am super excited to kickstart this with all of you. Thank you for choosing to say yes to love and yes to the summit. And thank you so much, Amy, for being a wonderful interviewer today.
Of course. Thank you so much. We have so much to reflect on.
Yes, it was wonderful to already give a taster of what this week holds for everybody. So everybody take good care. I'll see you live very soon. And again, thank you, Amy, for being such a gracious interviewer. I loved it.
Of course.
Take care,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.